Hello, Elevation Health family. This is Dr. Dave Yachter, the chiropractor. Thanks for joining me today to discuss the condition of the week. So today's condition of the week is that we're going to discuss is migraine headaches. Migraines, as you and I very well know, are more common than we would like to think. A migraine is more than just a headache. It's a real neurological disease, and it affects millions of people. It's a complex disorder that can cause debilitating headaches, and it's got a variety of different symptoms as well. Different people have different symptoms. Some of the most common symptoms are head pain, nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light or sound, visual effects. Um, Sometimes you can see the aura or the flashing lights, throbbing or pulsing in the head, pain in the temples or behind an eye or an ear. Some people get a migraine maybe 1 or 2 days a month. Others have migraines, 15 or more days a month. Even if you have just one migraine a week, that's 52 migraines a year. So it's a big deal. While each person experiences migraines differently, the impact almost always disrupts their everyday life. The pain, nausea, sensitivity, and exhaustion just make it really a challenge to function normally. And this affects people at work, school, family, and social life. So when it comes to treatment, there are a lot of considerations. And migraine headaches in and of themselves are a lot to manage. But if you need treatment for them, I hear all the time, you really need to keep a close eye on your bank account as well, especially if your migraines are chronic and they really happen often. One recent study found that the cost of medical treatment for the average American with migraines is really closer to $7,000 a year. And that doesn't include indirect costs like missed work days. Even with good health insurance, you really need to pay attention when it comes to planning treatment for migraine headaches. It's easier to get relief from headaches if you don't have to worry about them at the same time. So also, what needs to be considered is the diagnostics and the cost of those used to diagnose and treat migraine headaches, such as blood tests, EEGs, which cost thousands of dollars, MRIs, and CAT scans costing between $5,000 and $10,000. And then that's, again, not considering the cost of the medications themselves, which are migraine medications, blood pressure medications, antidepressants, anti-nausea medications, anti-seizure drugs, all used to treat migraines and all causing potential horrible side effects. In a recent study published in the January issue of the journal Headache, nearly 1,200 migraine sufferers were surveyed about the medications that they took, and 2/3 of them delayed or avoided taking their current prescription drugs because of treatment side effects. Of those particularly taking something called triptans, the most commonly prescribed class of drugs for recurring headache pain, patients listed sleepiness and fatigue, racing heartbeat, nausea, and difficulty thinking as a common side effect or the most common side effects. So let's talk about what causes or what can potentially cause migraine headaches. Well, we all know stress can cause these types of headaches, anxiety, not enough sleep, too much sleep, physical exhaustion, and then many times hormonal changes. These can all trigger migraines, right? And then on top of that, we have things that we may eat or drink or do recreationally, like tobacco, alcohol, caffeine, cured and processed meats, dehydration. And obviously, if you sometimes people who have blood sugar issues, if you skip meals, this can trigger migraine headaches also. And we have other things that are caused by our environment, like barometrical changes, weather changes. Brighter flashing lights can trigger migraines in some people. And sometimes even different smells or strong smells can trigger migraines. So commonly, this is what's talked about or focused on in the medical world. But in my world, where I look for the cause, the source, and the root of a person's migraine headaches or any other health condition, I look for something called subluxation. And a subluxation is a vertebrae that's shifted out of alignment, and that misalignment actually occludes or puts pressure on the brainstem, the spinal cord, or the neurological structures which impede the brain's ability to coordinate normal function in the human body. And when there's interference because of that, that can lead to health problems. One of them is migraine headaches. Some of you know the story of my father, who was and currently still is a patient under my care. He was actually my first patient. My father had migraine headaches for 40 years before he received his first adjustment. Now, the migraine started on one particular day when he was a young man. He was a teenager, he was in summer camp, and on this particular day, he dove into a lake, and at the bottom of the lake, there was a cast iron tub. And he didn't know the tub was down there, so when he dove in head first, the trauma to his head shifted the top bone out of alignment in his neck. And that misalignment put pressure on the brainstem, and it kinked the vertebral artery, which affected the blood supply going to his brain. Because of that trauma, he lost consciousness. And when he regained consciousness in the infirmary 2 weeks later, his head felt like it was going to explode. To control the pain and the blood pressure, especially with the headaches and the migraines, blinding migraine headaches, they put him on medications immediately. This was a healthy young teenager who was on 0 medications before this trauma, leaving that hospital on 5 different medications. Some of them migraine medications, some of them blood pressure medications. And if you can imagine a teenager on 5 different medications, how life went after that, to say it was challenging is an understatement. And my father went through life, had lots of struggles, anger management, lots of missed days at work, struggled with his relationships, got married, had a family, struggled with managing stress. There was plenty of dysfunction in the household because of his inability to handle stress. His quality of life suffered, and because of his quality of life suffering, his whole family's quality of life suffered. And I know this firsthand because I was one of those family members witnessing it firsthand. So I was in chiropractic school, and this is 40 years later, and I'm sitting there learning about the neurological connection between a patient who has migraine headaches and the area of the spine where that usually comes from, the top part of the neck. And it made sense to me. A light bulb went off. I came home the next time I went to visit my family, and I walked through the front door, and my dad was actually having a migraine headache that very moment. And I proceeded to do what I had just practiced in school to diagnose the subluxation in that area and adjust it, correct it. And lo and behold, the bone moved great. He heard it. I felt it. He got up out of the chair, and literally 60 seconds later, he went from massive migraine headache to where he couldn't even look up from the table and give me a hug to say hello, to standing up, moving his neck freely, telling me that it felt like somebody just flushed the toilet in his head, releasing all the pressure in that moment, just like that. That's how fast it happened. 40 years. Can you imagine 40 years he waited for that first adjustment, all that suffering? And it seemed like a miracle. And, you know, when I think about it, a lot of people would consider it a miracle, but I think that that's supposed to happen. You know, a body returning to normal function the way God had intended it to work in the first place isn't really a miracle. That's really how God intended the body to work. All I did was find and remove the interference to what was stopping his body from functioning and healing the way God created it to. And that's the way I saw it. And it was very encouraging, not just to him, but for me as well. And as the years went on and I finished up chiropractic school, every time I come home, I'd see him and I'd see the transformation and the change. He wasn't angry anymore. He wasn't frustrated. His quality of life significantly improved. Him and my mother started traveling. Their relationship started blossoming. And he eventually got off of all of his medications in a very short period of time. Didn't need his migraine medications anymore. Didn't need his blood pressure medications anymore. His antacids, all of that just went away. Complete life transformation. My dad will be the first to tell you that chiropractic gave him his life back. But you know what? In the process of that helping him restore his quality of life, the quality of life of everybody else in my family was improved as well. That's how far-reaching this adjustment was for him and everybody else. And I'm very thankful that I got to watch that and witness that because what I realized was that chiropractic wasn't just good for migraine headaches. Chiropractic was good for every single person on this planet who has an interference in their spine and could be working at a better potential, that could be healthier and happier. And I realized at that moment that my job was singular in focus and purpose, and that's to find and remove the interference for anybody who presents to my office with subluxation at any area in their spine. This one particular case that we're talking about today was just migraine headaches. But I made it my life's purpose and mission to make sure that I detect and correct subluxation in as many people as humanly possible, as much as I could possibly do. And that's why I'm sharing this condition of the week with you today. So you realize how profound it is, and sometimes how simple it is to find and correct the cause. When you find and correct the cause of a person's problem, they don't have to get treatment for the rest of their lives. They don't have to be on medication for the rest of their lives. They don't have to go bankrupt trying to manage a condition for decades in the process. And chiropractic does that. Chiropractic saves lives. But the burden for me to carry is realizing that there are so many, who knows, tens of thousands of people in our community, millions of people in our country that don't even know that chiropractic, when it's applied properly, can change lives. But because you've heard this message, and you being a patient in our office, you know more than most people do when it comes to health. So I am asking you that if you know someone, please say something, share with them, ask them, did you know that chiropractic may be able to help with this? And plant a seed. You have nothing to lose, and that person has only everything to gain. So if there's anything that we can do to help you help others, as always, please let us know. Please let myself know, or people at the front desk, whether it's headaches or anything else. Thank you so much for being with me today, allowing me to share this life-changing information. I love and appreciate you. God bless.